Is there an easy way to recognize when it's happening? I guess just becoming more aware in general?
Or what does it look like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it can be like you feel exhausted. It can feel like you are like crankier or in a worse, like you were doing fine, okay?
And then all
of a sudden, you were with this person or with a piece of media or hearing something and your frequency resonance drops, meaning you feel not good now, okay? You're cranky, depleted, resentful, something, okay? Also, it could be that you feel like you're being extracted from, or that you feel like resentful or like you're being pushed around. Okay, like you feel like you're being pushed around, or like people always ask you to do the thing, to organize a thing for everyone, to clean up. They always ask you for help because you're always going to do it, right? Because you can't hold your space, right? Because people, if they're holding your space, what that means is that you feel complete and whole within self. It doesn't mean you're unkind, by the way. It just means that you're aware of what you can give without being in a state of self-sacrifice. Okay, and we did this whole episode on the nice episode. We talked about that nice spectrum. Exactly. Where you go from kind into self-sacrifice. So when you're strong and holding your space, then you recognize, I can say yes to this, and it doesn't deplete me or make me feel resentful or extracted from. Or no, actually, I don't want to do this because I will feel one of those things at the end. Or I will give up time that I wanted to give to myself or to the people that I love or whatever to do this for this person because I can't hold my space and say no. So it's also like an ability to hold boundary, right? And to be aware of what the cost is to you and whether you can give freely.
Yeah. It sounds like awareness is super key here, at least in recognizing when you are or are not and how to shift that. So awareness.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And then also, one of the examples I gave was, like I said, of people controlling another person or situation. So a lot of us do this out of love, right? And it's modeled for us, right? So, if you feel like your mother should do something because it's really in her best interest. So it's like one thing if somebody asks you for help, or if you say, can I share this? If they raise an issue and you say, can I share something that's worked for me? And they say yes, and you share it, and then you're done. It's something else to like have an agenda and really like try to manipulate them, right? Because it's the best thing for you because obviously you know what's right for them. Clearly. So when you bleed into that, where it's really about you being uncomfortable not having them do something that is a contrary to what you would desire them to do, that is when you are now pushing into someone else. Okay?
Yep.
So you have to be really aware of that.
Yeah. So I've noticed something. Of course, I often mention my daughter because that's a new thing for me. I'm more than a mother, but this is an example I'm bringing up. My daughter, Pepper, is amazing at holding her space. So I did not pass that down to her, which is great. It's actually phenomenal to watch. Like if somebody wants to hold her and she doesn't want them to, she'll literally take their hand and push it away. No, I've never seen her do something that she didn't feel comfortable doing, especially in terms of other people's energy and even my own, I might, want her to go over here or whatever if I'm like stressed out and she'll make it known, like, get out of my space. This is my space, my time. Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's good to see.
And I would say that new consciousness kids are like that because they don't like being controlled. So they're aware of it. And it's very sensitive. As you know, it's like someone's coming into my space. I don't like it. I'm going to push it out. So it's similar, except that as adults, we have all these other feelings of, like, should I do that? Because am I seeming like something? Am I appearing this to them, like a certain way to them? Will they perceive it that way? We have all these things that we think about, which are, by the way, a result of distortion patterns, often of low self-worth and non-deserving, for us to release, and then we can more easily then hold our space. Yeah. So it's really an important thing to do. And how you know that you're not holding your space is that you start to realize that you'll notice it with certain people at first, or certain things that you read or look at all the time. And it's really, like you said, it's awareness, right?
Yeah.
So you'll notice when you don't feel as good, like just notice before it felt like this, later felt like that, right? Only thing that happened was that,
social media usually.
Yeah, exactly.
For most people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Then you'll notice that and you're like, oh, wow, I wasn't able to be neutral. Because here's the thing. It's that most with social media, right? It's like, we're always comparing. That's what our minds do. And so on social media, everyone's portraying like the aspect of themselves that they want to portray. It's not like you get to see their inner landscape, which is like riddled with self-doubt and whatever it is that you're seeing. You're seeing this
it's
like
their best possible 1 second clip.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, look how amazing my life is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yep. And so everyone compares the mess that is internal for most of us with that. And we're just like, oh.
I'm shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm just like total disaster compared to everyone else who seems to be glorious. Yep. Okay, so if you find yourself being triggered by that, this comparison that we do, that's also an indication of you not holding your space, because as you rise in resonance and get stronger and more complete, that stuff doesn't impact you as much. So you're human. Of course, you're going to have moments where it impacts you. Yeah. But you realize like your worth is not derived by how people perceive you. Your worth is in your beingness. There really is no other way to say it. So you don't need to prove anything to anyone to be the glory that you are. Mm-hmm. You just are. So that is an indication also of like how strong you've become. Yeah. You know, and how well you can hold your space if you're watching things on social media and you're not being impacted by them. Or my husband, Chris, will do things. He didn't watch the news or read the news for like a decade or something like this, and for a long part of his spiritual journey, because he's like, I just want to distance myself from that kind of frequency resonance. I just want to, it does not help me to know all this stuff. It just makes me angered and fearful, and I feel and it's disempowering to me. So one of the things he did to test himself to see how well he could hold his space is he deliberately started reading the news. He's like, I'm just going to read this and see if it impacts me. Can I still feel the magnificence of who I am? Not in comparison to anyone, just like the magnificence of my beingness. And feel the glory of life and the beauty of it as I'm reading something that's pretty horrifying.
Wow, that's...
Yeah, it's like, like a muscle, a spirit muscle. And so for him, that's what he would do. And he would deliberately sometimes read news that was very contrary to like his belief. Okay, where he was like, wow, I can't believe anyone actually believes that. That's insane.
Purposely triggering himself.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, can I stay holding my space? He would like test himself. So I'm not saying that everyone needs to do that. I'm just saying for him, that was one way for him when he got to a certain point for him to see like, how strong am I really, how am I really holding my space? Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the things that he would do.
No, that's cool.